Hey, Mr. Smythe, you remember what one of these used to taste like? Congratulations, Mr. Smythe. You did a heck of a job on your diet.
You look great. Another change that took place was in the lockers. The administration was compelled to cut down the noise the lockers made when they shut. The lockers sure do look nice and come in a variety of beautiful pastels.
One change that did not occur was the end of a streak of at least 5 consecutive years of losing the homecoming football game.
Lathrup carried on this tradition all throughout our high school career.
Hey, Ron, do you remember freshman year at homecoming when we had the best float, but the judges seemed to judge the wrong side? I'm sure we would have won.
Hey, freshman year, we began our quest for money. Like the song says, we wanted to be rich.
Our means of obtaining all that cash was by fundraising. Our most everlasting fundraiser was the sale of candy bars. We ended up selling these candy bars for 4 years. Not that we planned on selling them for that long, we just could never get repeat customers. So if you like taking risks, we still have some left over for you to buy.
The fundraiser also helped support the climax of our freshman year, our Cedar Point trip. This would end up being our supervisor's only free trip.
Freshman year, we didn't have a care in the world. We learned from our counselors now that colleges do not look at our freshman year. If we knew then what we know now, I think we all would have partied just a little bit more.
The year would end with Beth and Witt's annual pool party. Here, the freshman class expressed extreme unity, with a class sing-along at 11:27, arms locked around each other, circling the picnic table.
Well, we finally became accustomed with the school. We now knew the difference between D-wing and speech wing and the main office and detention.
We weren't freshmen anymore. Now we had someone else to pick on. We were finished with our freshman year.
And like our freshman year, as Ferris Bueller says, life moves pretty fast. If you don't stop and look around once in a while, you might miss it. So good luck, seniors, and go Pistons.
As the 1987-1988 school year rolled around, there were many things to look forward to. First of all, we were no longer referred to as freshmen. Now our title had changed to sophomore, aka wise fool. And along with this title came many benefits. If you were lucky, you might be able to socialize with an upperclassman. Prior to the sophomore year, this was nowhere near being a reality. And by getting acquainted with the upperclassmen, you could have a locker in lower D without the fear of it being taken away from you. No one likes to come to school on the first day, only to find out that a lock has been placed on their assigned locker by an upperclassman. You know that if you report this to an administrator, you are sure to have an angry jock waiting for you after school. But the most important aspect of having the title sophomore was the respect that came with it. You now had someone to boss around. Instead of always being the recipient of the humiliation, you could now dish a little out yourself. But just a little, because a sophomore has to remember that there is only one level below him and 2 levels above.
More important than the latter was the acquisition of a driver's license, or should I say a license to freedom. Now you could go out on weekends without telling your mother and father when and where to pick you up. I don't know which was worse, not knowing where to have your parents pick you up, or having your friends see them pick you up. But having a driver's license was not all fun and games. It was hard to tell if someone was your true friend or just using you for a ride. Actually, it was great. 10 of the closest, physically close that is, friends piled into a Chevette because some of us were unlucky enough to have been born later. But the biggest problem with having a driver's license was what to do when getting a car. One could either get an old clunker as a hand-me-down or beg his parents to buy a new car with the excuse that the old clunker wasn't safe to drive. And I can see that that excuse definitely worked. Look at all the fancy cars in the student parking lot. But if it was impossible to get your own car, there was always Daddy's car on the weekend. Oh, but what a pain that was. All the arguments just so you could get the car for a few hours and only to drive between Burger King and Ramshorn and back again in the never-ending quest for a party. Ah yes, party. That was a new word in our sophomore vocabulary. At least we are allowed to go to parties now. In the past, the rule was don't. Getting a license also meant being able to drive to lunch and watch the new freshmen stuck inside. And going out to lunch gave you a choice. Get a traffic ticket, as the friendly police officers waited on Webster, or be tardy. Many students chose the latter and subjected themselves to torture in C-103 with Mr. Chap just to enjoy the freedom of open lunch.
Putting aside the fun and games, there also came more responsibilities with being a sophomore. The classes got harder, and thoughts about college became more of a reality. Geometry, Earth and Space, English, and Controlled Chemistry. Those were some of the familiar titles listed on a sophomore schedule. And if you were really unlucky, you would see Spanish or French listed too. There would no longer be those classes where you could get the teacher to spend 2 weeks going over the course description. It was stunning to see teachers assign homework on the first day of class. I didn't even expect to get a book until the second week. But we all continued to study, with our parents lecturing us over and over about the importance of the sophomore year. Everyone must have heard it one time or another. You must buckle down and study this year. Colleges are paying closer attention to your grades now. Boy, did those become a pain to listen to. But most of us did pay attention to our parents and continued to study on.
Besides all the studying that went on, we did find time to partake in a few school activities. There was homecoming, which goes to show that some things don't change from year to year. We lost, again. There were also various fundraisers to pay for. Well, whatever sophomores pay for. All in all, sophomore year was one of transition. We had survived halfway through the high school years, and the best was yet to come.
Well, we'd finally made it to the ranks of the upper class. We were halfway through high school, with the unavoidable fear that our last 2 years would pass by as quickly as the first two had. Our junior year was a time of great realization for all of us. The term college became a regular word in each of our vocabularies, or should I say, our parents' vocabularies. College, where are you going to go? Have you sent away for your applications? Do you realize how expensive college is nowadays? Yeah, college became a realization and major consideration in each of our lives. But wait, there's more. Before we could even begin to answer our parents' nagging questions about college, there was the SATs, or for some, the ACTs. Now what were they thinking? Making us get up at 8 a.m. on a Saturday morning to take a test that was going to determine our futures? 8 a.m. determines nothing more than that we all need to go right back to bed. But you do what you have to do, and we took the test. Now I wonder, what's worse, taking the test or waiting for your score? Score? Let's talk about scores. How about the Lathrup football team defeating Southfield High in the Silverdome by a score of 20-18 on the last play of the game? That was awesome, and that happened in our junior year. Awesome seems an appropriate word to describe the intensity level of our class. At no time was this more pronounced than when our junior class demolished the seniors and everyone else in our pass on our quest to capturing the spirit jug.
Spirit and camaraderie seemed to prevail in our junior year. Not only did we become more unified as a class and more concerted in our efforts, but this brotherhood carried over to our city, who truly pulled together in a time of crisis. We shared our lives and we shared our school with our arch rival Southfield High at a time when they needed us the most. But hey, we didn't suffer too bad. It was kind of nice getting out of school in time to go home and jump right back into bed. Hey, and since we're on the subject of not being in school, it sure did become more difficult to get away with not being in school since Mr. Vanderleen left. Waivers quickly became a thing of the past. And in came Mr. Rice. Now here... Now here's a man that just wasn't going to take our stuff anymore. But in the junior class style, we still found a way to have fun, stir up a little trouble, and make our mark. A mark that is sure never to be forgotten. Thanks, and congratulations to the class of 1990.
Why, we know.
August 28th, 1989, we walked into Southfield Lathrup as proud seniors, prepared to rule the school. And now, as we stand here today as graduates, we recall our most eventful and outrageous moments of being seniors. We'd like to incorporate our prom theme of changes into our speech by reflecting upon the various changes that affected us within the school that we will just miss so dearly. First of all, parking and parking lot situations. We certainly paid the price. Okay, we understand we can park in the teacher's parking lot if, and only if, we want to pay a $35 parking ticket. Next, the policy of locking school doors during school hours. Sorry guys, we're seniors. We've mastered the art of skipping.
Football season started with a loss to North Farmington and continued losses all the way to the Silverdome game against our rivals at Southfield High. Although we lost the homecoming game for the 9th consecutive year, but we were very fortunate that it didn't rain on our homecoming parade and our float won first place. By the time November came around, most of us heard from colleges, some of us excited, some disappointed, but the stress of filling in those ridiculous applications is over. November 14th, a memorable day for the whole school to share. A plethora of fire alarms were pulled. Could that day be more annoying? We are quite unsure. We hope you didn't miss the talent show, the singing, the dancing, oh yes, and our famed David Schlussel snorting a noodle up his nose while skating on rollerblades listening to classical music. Mock elections were at first a complete nightmare, but in the end it all worked out. Johnny Herbert and Joel Cohen, we can't wait to see what you'll look like in 20 years. Now from the social aspect of our senior year. We extend our gratitude to various parents who vacation frequently, but don't worry, we won't mention any names just to keep our parents wondering.
Spring break. Time to obtain fake IDs and spend a small fortune at the local fake and bake. All to be done to successfully escape for a full week of fun in the sun, not to mention other extracurricular activities. Two popular spots of the perfect utopia this year were Acapulco, home of the happy hour at La Dome, and also a peaceful resting place for dead bodies on the beach. And also the Star Princess, the cruise line holding 500 crazy kids. It's a miracle we got our security deposits back. Back to reality, we returned to school and realized that this was the beginning of the end. Most of us caught a severe case of the mysterious virus called senioritis. At this point, we started signing our own absence passes and taking various bagel and big boy runs. We are sad to say goodbye to those annoying computer phone calls home that we were so luckily blessed with 4 years ago. But we did get one excused absence this year upon traveling to Cedar Point, which was a day of fun. And for some of us, we had a pretty interesting, smelly ride home. Prom was definitely a time to remember. A huge prom it was, as everyone asked someone from another grade or school. The Detroit Yacht Club was decorated beautifully. We will cherish these memories forever. The next big event we are looking forward to is our all-night graduation party. We would like to thank the many parents who devoted endless hours to making this party a great success.
We are the class of 1990, the last to experience 4 years of open lunch, 4 card markings, homes, and we are glad to leave before we have to get here by 7:30. Good luck, underclassmen. You think it's hard getting to school on time now. Good luck, class of 1990. Never forget our slogan, which we were told was too inappropriate to say today. We'll miss you. Don't forget the memories.